Hello, and welcome to the second video in my new series, How to Spot the Signs. Okay, so in this video, I will be sharing with you a very condensed, quick cheat sheet that will enable you to become a better observer and a better astrologer. Or maybe it could just be that you have a fascination with this type of thing. You have an interest in the mystical, an interest in the things behind things, which is what spirituality really is, isn't it? I saw a really good meme just quickly the other day, and it was talking about how science is kind of like this bypassing of spirituality, and it was a really well worded sentence. I'll see if I can post it actually. It was quite interesting because we can obviously, with science, we can only measure something. Humans can only measure something. Science is only the measurement of something. Therefore, a human can only measure something with the tools that the human has created. I know, of course, and if humans only have a certain amount of bandwidth in their brain, well, that's debatable for a lot of humans. But what it is that, yeah, you get what I mean. So different levels of consciousness beyond human capacity obviously is a completely different realm that humans wouldn't be privy to, would it? So I know that might have blown someone's mind just saying that, but I am going to try and keep this video quite tight. I will be doing another upload quickly after I upload this video, talking about something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I would really appreciate you guys to jump in the comments section and leave a comment below if you feel brave enough or if you feel so inclined to do so, or otherwise it's totally cool. I totally get it. You don't have to come forward in the public arena like I do. You can just DM me on Instagram. My DMs are open, or you can now email me indirectly at Goliath_occultist@hotmail.com, and I will respond. Before I go on quickly, yet again, I just have to remind you guys, I do this because I enjoy doing it, and I am going to be taking it into the next, in 2025, I'm going to be leveling up with this channel and moving on to a Patreon, which is the next video that I'm going to be uploading. But for anyone who has booked me for a reading or has booked me for my level of knowledge, then whether it was a chart evaluation or looking at their questions or performing a reading or whatever it was, if you want me to continue the conversations with you, I'm happy to do so, but I can't answer questions unless there is some level of exchange going on. Because I am a very busy man. I've got a lot of things going on. I'm full on and I don't like my time. I need something in exchange for my time and knowledge. No different to if you were talking to a lawyer, someone who's gone to law school. When you book them for a consultation, you are paying for their knowledge of the law. I am charging people for my knowledge of the occult. Also, second disclaimer, I have to make it very clear to you, your level of success with my knowledge has got nothing to do with me and it's not my problem. Okay, I can teach you how to create something or do something. You have to do the legwork to make it happen. Okay, if you don't do it, nothing's going to happen. All right, so that being said, handing someone a knife or a blade and their misuse of that isn't my problem. Okay, I have to make this clear because I do get some very interesting emails. Some of them are quite strange, and I do enjoy all of this level of conversation, but it has to be in a format that is modern day in this regard, which is you give me your questions, I give you the answers, and in exchange, that keeps me around. So I'm merely a facilitator. Now, this being said, let's get on with the video. If you don't know, everything that we have or are or everything around us is an imprint of the universe, or an imprint of what some may call the Godhead, which is the Big Bang when everything exploded. Now it's all trying to get back to oneness. That's how it created the law of attraction. That's what humans are. They're all aspects of the divine. We all come from different places to have this human experience, but the types and patterns of living things in energies have different frequencies and different signatures, and they are all in play and all placed on levels that I can't even comprehend because I'm a human like you. It's beyond me, from all of the planets. So we move through all of the houses, all of the phases, and we have all of these experiences which enrich us, and we go back up to the spiritual world. Some of us reincarnate, some of us don't. That's another video for another time. That being said, the physicality and the structure, the molecular structure of a human and the cells and the way that they're formed and DNA and sperm and in the egg and all of this type of stuff, this is all predetermined. Okay, so time doesn't work the same way it does in the spiritual world as it does here. Okay, it's different. Yeah, that's another topic for another day as well. So that being said, Cancer, if you're around them, the quickest way, they're the easiest sign to spot. This being said, if you are a Cancer sun, this video applies to you. If you are, that's obviously where your sun sign was placed in the eastern horizon. If you were a Cancer moon, this video also applies to you, okay? Humans mostly look like a combination of their sun sign and their rising sign. Now, I did explain that the sun sign is the external projection of a human that we project outwards, and then the world interacts with that, and that kind of clarifies it back to us. So we are all interconnected. How others see us is how we see ourselves. People that are not connected to other people or don't have empathy or compassion or interest in other humans don't have something called a feedback loop. Super dangerous. Very common these days with narcissists and psychopaths, which are kind of like on every street corner really at this point. We live in a society that encourages psychopathy and rewards it. Another video for another time. So, Cancers, how to spot them, all right? Okay, Cancers tend to have a more pale coloring no matter what their ethnicity, all right? So structure-wise in their body, for the females, they usually have a rounder face. For the males, some of them have square jaws, but for the most part, they have quite a round face, okay? Physiologically, very similar to a moon, So most signs look like their rising sign, or most people look like a combination of the sun and the rising, the outer world and the rising, the angle that they see the world through. For example, my moon is in Aries. It's fire, it's passion. You can probably hear it in my voice. There's an intensity to me, okay? So I like it real, I like it raw. That's kind of my energy a lot of the time. I'm very truthful with my Sagittarius side. I'm coming in, I'm getting it shit done. So I need to have a frame or a physicality to me that can actually facilitate that. That's why Sagittarians in the previous video are born naturally athletic. Now, if you added an Aries moon to that, you would get a naturally athletic warrior type energy in physiologically in my build. Same with the all of the signs, really. It's like what they're built to do in this life is what's connected to their purpose and their soul contract. And their soul contract is always connected to their passion. Why? Because your passion is where your purpose is. All right? Hope that made sense. So that being said, you might come across a Cancer that might be more pale, that may not display the physicalities of a traditional Cancer, but you need to always assess the chart. We know this kind of fluffy sun sign astrology. We have to go deeper than sun sign, babes. I love saying that word. We have to go way deeper than that, okay? We know that we're a mixture, we're an amalgamation of our whole chart, okay? So rising sign is where it's at. Now, cheat sheet part 101. Cancers usually look more like their moon sign than they do their rising sign. Don't know why. If you know why, maybe leave it in the comments below if you've noticed this. So their moon sign is their inner world, their most private world. The sun sign is the outer world, and their rising is the lens that they see the world through. So you'll always see that. That's why when you come across someone, I usually can get their rising sign before I get their sun sign when I meet them, depending on how much how balanced it is in how they look. So they have a very secluded, protective energy about them. Their energy signature is always internal. This is an internal creature, okay? So think of the crab in itself. Their energy is not outwards, it is inwards. It's feminine energy. Okay, that's not saying cancers can't be masculine, because we've got to look at the rest of the chart, but the feminine side of the Cancer is the moon, which is femininity, okay? And the sun is masculine energy, that's outward energy, okay? So this energy is gentle, they're softer, they're more quietly spoken. They are patient people. A lot of them mostly are quite patient in the way that they talk. They're very aware of how they deliver knowledge and their topics and how they share words and information. All right, so I will get onto that a little bit more. They tend to have a very solid neck for the men. Solid neck, not as solid as a Taurus's neck usually is. The Taurus people, the bull, they usually have very thick necks. Cancers have very thick shoulders and necks, kind of like armor. Think of, obviously, the animal, the crab. It is an intertidal species, much like the Scorpio. The Scorpio and the Cancer are very, very similar in a lot of ways, not just because they're water signs, but physiologically how they are built. Their shell or their muscle system or their protection system is their body. They're not like a Taurus where they have bulls that they can, charge. They don't, or they have horns where they can charge, or they're not like a Sagittarius that is armed with a bow and arrow that can shoot you like the executioner in the zodiac. They have, their body is their shell, okay? So their bodies are built to handle adversity in a lot of ways, okay? But it's not usually physical adversity that the Cancers will go through, like a Capricorn does, where they have to get up a hill, pull the fishtail up the hill because they're the sea goat. Everything gets taken away, they get it back. Everything gets taken away, they get it back. That's the Capricorn. Sorry, the Capricorn's way of life is pulling themselves up a hill with a fishtail. Cancerian's way of life is the reverse of Capricorn, which is opposites on the chart, the Capricorn and the Cancer. They have the most problems with each other, by the way, if you don't already know. Is that they have an internal struggle going on at all times. So Cancers have a very high suicide rate, and there are probably less Cancers in this world than there are Pisces. There are very less Pisces people in this world and less Cancers in this world. A lot of them do suicide very early. A lot of them have very severe mental health problems. Okay, this sign is about the heart and it's about the mind. It's about the moods. It's all about the tidal pool of energy. If you meet someone and they're really emotionally inconsistent, they were hot yesterday and then they ghost you, then we are probably dealing with, if it's not really yappy and talkative like a Gemini, we're looking at a Cancer. Okay, no one can ghost and love bomb like a Cancer can. Sagittarius can. Cancers have made it into a perfect art form, and it is all part of their defense mechanism. They have mastered the art of defensiveness. All right, so their energy is not open, it's not welcome, unless they have a sun sign in their, like say they've got like a moon in some level of sun sign or a moon in, say, Libra. They generally are quite guarded. They're not going to share everything with you right away. This is the least risk-taking sign possible. They're all about self-preservation. They're all about self-protection. All right. So the way that they dress, the way that they hold themselves. Now, in physiological structure, the Cancers usually have a rounder shaped skull, not usually as big as the Capricorn or the Aquarians, the aliens. Cancers generally have very pale eyes, and their eye sockets tend to be set quite heavily inwards. So as they age, particularly for the men, they get this kind of loose flap of skin above the top of their eyes. And sometimes it's quite sexy. By the way, this sign as a male, as they get older, is like a fine bottle of wine. There is something very, very attractive about a Cancerian man when they age. They are the ultimate daddy, and they know that, and they like that title. A lot of them are the daddies. Daddy fucks, daddy takes care of business, daddy works, daddy's big dick's flopping out, that type of thing. They like the sexual play of that type of thing. Father-son dynamics, age gaps, taboo things. The older Cancerians are very much into that. I'm sorry, it is just the way it is. All right, so, and when the Cancerian males age, they get white. Their hair goes white, their beard goes white. They look beautiful when they age. A lot of them age very, very finely, okay? For the female Cancerians, when they age, if you meet a person, a woman that's older, generally it's around the breast tissue and the chest area. That's very big. They usually have quite large chests. If you know, they've got big tits, okay? I'm just wording it that way. That's what it is. Big nipples. This is the mama. This is the mama of the zodiac, the nurturer, the giver of life, that type of thing. The stabilizer of things, the one that you come to make everything okay. So if you've got disgusting mummy issues, the older female Cancerians are the way to go. Don't fuck around with them though, because they have knives. Okay, Cancers know how to do maximum damage to you, just like the Scorpios can, just like the Sagittarians can. All right, so they remember everything. Their memories are very, very strong. Cancers are the most sharpest memory. Their memory is just off the charts. This doesn't tend to leave them or flee them as they get older. They usually can suffer from dementia as they get older, I've noticed, same like Gemini does if they don't keep their mind stimulated. But they will always remember things from their childhood and their past. So as you know, and I've said this in other videos, if you meet someone that's always talking about that time, that past, a moment, that birthday card that you had to send, or that thing that happened, or that time you did this, Cancer, all the way. Because the crab walks sideways or backwards. So they're always looking backwards. They're always looking back at things and reflecting on things. Now, Cancer's strengths are not in a group environment like a Gemini. Cancer's strengths are in solitude. This sign needs lots of recharging, like the water signs do. They need lots of quiet time at home. Home all the way. That is where the Cancers are. Home is their world. And it better look good, it better smell good, it better be tidied. They're always decorating their house, buying new things for their house. If you go into someone's house and it's always new artwork on the wall, new books on the bookshelf, everything has to be organized. Now, the darker side of this is that, just giving you a quick cheat sheet, a lot of them are very confusing of materiality with emotionality. So a lot of them, to cover up their bad behavior, they'll just buy their wife a new handbag, or they'll buy their wife a new car. They have a tendency to, if their kids aren't happy with them, we'll just take them on a holiday, send them overseas on a skiing trip, that type of thing. Very, very common with the Cancers. Now, Cancers, being that they're more in the feminine energy, a lot of Cancerian men are gay homosexuals. Okay, I don't really believe in the bisexual thing so much. I think that gets played a little bit too heavily. A lot of them are overtly gay. Okay, we're talking like hairdressers, like florists, interior decorators, that type of thing. A lot of them have like a slight lisp when they talk. When they get tired, they have a bit of a lisp. They talk like that. You'll notice that their pronunciation can usually have some level of lisp, or there could have been a speech pathology problem in their childhood as well. Okay, so that being said, this sign is the least likely to live in their truth. So if a Cancer comes into this world and their dad or their mum has very high standards on them, to them, their mum and their father or their family is everything to them. And they'll do everything they can to uphold the values of their family's honor. So what generally happens with the Cancers is if their mum was a lawyer or their dad was a lawyer or a barrister, guess who's going to become the next lawyer? The son. They take on identities of other people. That's why they make very, very good actors. Cancers are actors because they mirror things around them. Much like the moon sign energy, the moon itself, which is their ruling factor. I don't know if the moon's a planet, but it's a rock that orbits around, it has no light of its own. So it only bounces and reflects light off other people onto itself. So they're always cloaking themselves in identities of things that are external from who they actually are. So a lot of them latch onto identities of things rather than have the courage to really look at who the fuck they are. That's why a lot of Cancer people, male or female, have very serious mental breakdowns when they get into their late 40s and 50s if they chose a path and followed a path that wasn't really in alignment with who they were and what they were really here to do in their earlier years. Okay? Like I mentioned, this sign is about the study of the outcome of something. And so Cancers are very attached to the outcome of something. So if they are going on a date with you, they're going to be sitting here going, is this the person I want to spend the rest of my life with? Am I going to have 1,000 zillion dinners with them in my life? Is this workable? What do they bring? Because the Cancers are very, very materialistic. Generally, if they're dark-sided, it's all about the money. Money makes the Cancers feel safe. So safety is where Cancers go. And in order to feel safe, they need to put themselves around things that are powerful or things that govern other people so that they can feel powerful. All right. So a lot of them go into accounting. A lot of them go into law. A lot of them will take up roles in risk management or that type of thing, where they're assessing risks and outcomes and trying to work out strategically where to put the money. Okay. Because they're not going to put money into something that could make them lose something. All right, so it's like a crab. It goes into the rocks to hide itself in there and it burrows itself down and the water hits it. It's all protected. It protects itself with things that are stronger or bigger than it. So at work sometimes being very strategic, like the Scorpions, the Cancers can be very much an ass kisser, like sucking up to the boss, being best friends with everyone in the team, putting on this kind of act. A lot of them do that at work. Especially at work, because if they can get friendly with her, then they can get a shot at this role and they just kind of climb their way up the mud bucket as a crab would. It's just what they do. It's not going to change. All right. So what also happens is Cancers, if you've ever dated one and they come into your life really quick, they leave your life just as quick. A lot of them will come in and they get a little bit too carried away. They love bomb you. And then they will dump you on the side of the road and you'll be like, where did they go? They disappeared. You'll never know. All right. A lot of them, they like it's the fantasy or the ideology of something that is appealing to them in a person in the moment. And then, of course, their mood changes like it does with the tidal pull. It goes in, it goes out, they're up, they're down. A lot of them are bipolar. And the next day they'll be in a different type of energy. And you might have said something that could have offended them, or you might have done something that they didn't like, and you'll never, ever hear from them again. Okay, it's just how they are. The crab retreats. And it's really cruel when they do this, because this is a world builder. This sign is designed to be with one partner at one time and build a family that is real, that is stable, that is secure. That is what this sign needs. That is what they're built to do. All right. So any level of sleeping around, doing porn, doing like random hookups, very psychologically dangerous for the Cancers, because then they're designed for strings. They like strings. They want strings. And the problem is when they date, they can actually start creating strings with you that they don't really mean. They don't really mean that they want to be with you. but they create a string and they build a world with you that which you can actually think is real. So they're very, very confusing to be with. All right. Same with the Sagittarians. They might say that they want monogamy, but deep down they like the sexual freedom of being single at the same time. So, and it never works out. It never does work out well for them. They never get over breakups as well. If you meet someone that's always talking about the past, always talking about their Cancer all the way, as more breakups on a Cancer, it just breaks their hearts. All right. So that's just how they are. Their typical pose or the way they stand is usually with their arms crossed. You'll notice if you're at a bar or a club somewhere, you'll see across the bar someone with crossed arms across their chest. That is a natural resting position of a Cancer, or their hands in front of them, in front of their dick or in front of their, tummy, that type of thing. Defensiveness. A lot of them wear sunglasses, very big sunglasses. They always have a big sunglass collection. It's always hiding their eyes. They like fashion. They like to look good. A lot of the Cancerian men like to dress up in like old-fashioned clothes or even wear a bow tie, things like that. They're quirky that way. Now, all Cancers have a bit of Gemini in them and a little bit of Leo in them, always. So it depends on which side of the spectrum they're at, whether they're closer to Gemini. If they're Gemini, you could be dealing with multiple personalities and a borderline personality plus the bipolar. So a lot of these Cancers need a fucking shrink. If they're going, they need to go to a psychologist. Even if they think they don't, they do. They need someone to unpack all of these emotions because they are meant to go deep into emotions. All right, that's what they do. The problem is with Cancers that they can feel like in their earlier years when they have to do all the ladder climbing, that later they look back and look with shame of how they behaved and how they treated other people. And a lot of that comes back karmically on Cancers. A lot of Cancers that were very narcissistic or in the psychopathy scale, they end up alone, particularly if they're in the psychopathy scale. All right. So if it's an older male that is, say, in their 60s, that's a Cancer, something went wrong. All right, please listen to me. I'm giving you a safety warning here. If you meet a male Cancer or a Cancer female that's above, say, 50s, coming into their 60s, and they are not currently partnered or have not dated for a long time, this is a warning something has happened. Generally with Cancers, just giving you the cheat sheet quickly, it is something to do with family or parents, whether the parent didn't love them enough or the parent loved them too much and then ruined them. It's always tracing the cords. It always comes back to the childhood, and it always comes back to the starting point, the building block of the Cancer psychology as a child, because Cancers often revisit and return to their childhood as they get older. Okay, they go back and they want to rewatch the films as a kid. They want to revisit that. They always want to come home because they're coming home to themselves. All right. Okay, how's this looking for time? 27 minutes. I wanted to keep this a little bit tighter in terms of time. I know I drop a lot of stuff, but this is what it is, all right? So they have to defend themselves, so they like to word things very carefully. So that's why contracts, being a lawyer, working around any level of jargon, kind of litigation, this type of thing, very, very good pronunciation, that type of thing. Teacher, nurses, doctors, psychologists, all Cancer jobs. A lot of Filipinos I've noticed are all Cancers and they're all nurses. If you go to a hospital, most of the staff will all be Cancers. It's how can I look after you? How can I nurture you? How can I take care of you? It's just how they are. In terms of color palette, they always usually go for understated clothing. So it's not going to be bright and bold like leopard print stuff like a Leo. No, this will be more like neutral, soft tones and very kind of stone-washed bed sheeting and things like that. Okay, Cancer males also physically tend to have large bulbous noses at the front. It's quite a thick bridge in their nose. So you can pick that. Also, their eyes. Their eyes are full of emotion. All right. If you meet a Cancer man that's just like looks dead inside, like shark eyes, get away from them. if most of the time you'll meet a Cancer and they don't like eye contact so much, they kind of steer away from that. They're not like a Scorpio that wants to stare you down and intimidate you. Cancers don't like that. It's a gentle, indirect approach. They don't like doing aggressive. This is a passive aggressive sign, which is problematic for me. And I've noticed over the years, because when I meet someone, I just want to go straight to the thing, like, who are you? What are you doing? What do you want? Who are you about? So the quick as I can understand you, then I can see whether we've got, can we work with this? That's how I work with people in general. That's too intense for a Cancerian. They'll retreat. They'll run away. Okay, they can't be asked direct questions. Because they have to control the outcome of things to feel safe and tough. They say if you ask a Cancer a question, they will divert the question back to you and ask you the question without answering the question, or they will sidestep the question and deflect the question in a way that is fluffy. Like, what is your favorite food? What's your favorite food? And if you ask them that, they'd be like, green eggs and ham. Sam, yes, I am. They'll say something like that. Word jargon. They're very, very good with wording things. So that type of thing, manipulation of information and emotions to create an outcome is what this sign is. Super manipulative and very moody if they don't get what they want. All right. So they're very psychic as well. This is one of the most psychic signs you can imagine. Every shift of temperature in the room, they can feel that energetically, emotionally. They can almost get high off you if you're drunk or like on drugs. Okay? They're very, very psychic. All right? Please understand, if you meet someone that's looking into your soul, then that's good. Okay? That's who it is. That's what they want. Now, as they get older, a lot of the Cancers have families. And because they live double lives, a lot of them do live naturally double lives. They don't mean to do it, okay? I know I'm not making excuses, but I've known a couple of Cancer men that have actually had boyfriends or girlfriends in multiple cities. So a job where they can fly to one side of, like, they could go to New South Wales or go to Sydney, and then they could fly back to Melbourne. They'll have a family on both sides of the state. And one will never know about the other. They're very, very secretive. Just like the Scorpions, they'll have secret bank accounts. Okay, secretly they are focused about security. They're focused and tightly knit on that. If you get married to them, there will be a prenuptial agreement. If we break up, this is what you get, this is what I get, what we come together with, we leave with. That type of thing. So if you're meeting a Cancer and you're dating a Cancer, make them feel safe, for Christ's sake. So put that on the table. Say, like, if I'm in a relationship and we break up, then we just leave with what we bring. That's fine. If we bought something together, we split it. Fine. That would be a way to get them on the hook because it makes them feel safe. This sign doesn't want to be unzipped. This sign doesn't want to come out of its shell. This sign doesn't want to get naked in front of you and have sex with you unless it knows you or feels comfortable with you. They need to feel safety with you. So if you can contain them and protect them, that's where the Cancer comes out. That's how you get to date them more. If you say something they don't like, they retract. Okay, particularly if they've got like any houses in Neptune, that's when they go back into their shell. The sign is all about the stomach. A lot of them struggle with stomach weight around the stomach. That's just how they are. It's where their body usually stores fat. I know that the human body can't spot reduce, but that's how it is. A lot of them have bowel cancer and a lot of them have testicular cancer for the males. It's just how it is. Also, a lot of stomach ulcers, stomach cramping, just digestive problems, things like that. That's all Cancer. How to spot them. For the men, they usually recede quite a bit as they get older and they do mellow, but they need to be taken care of because they want to take care of you. If they are a really genuine, nice person and they're really good, this is the ultimate lover. All right. I have had Cancers in my life. I could date another Cancer. I would be with a Cancer because we would build a home together. We would build a world together. And Anything that's outside of that world, we wouldn't entertain it. Because I'm a very heavy person. So in a relationship, I'm like, we do something called in psychology, I'm just putting on my psychologist hat. we close the windows and shut the doors. All right. So when we close the windows and we shut the doors, so we're removing all factors that could come into play that would interfere with our relationship. So if you're in a real relationship with someone like me, you're not going to be on a dating app ever. You're not going to be on a hookup app ever. You're not going to be replying back to the flirtation on Facebook ever. That's all cheating in my book. All right. So you've got to the lines have to be drawn about the boundaries with this sign, and they must stay that way. If they are open by them, it's over. Okay. It's just how they are. Once the Cancer has a wandering eye in a relationship, they're already cheating on you. Okay. And these guys like to play. They love the attention. A lot of them will have signs like work hard, play hard, that type of thing. To them, they get away with it, anything they want, because it's all play. And because they're very good and able to get inside someone's psychology, they can understand how to manipulate that person to get what they want out of that person. Okay. Because they're very task focused. They're very goal orientated in that regard. As a leader, this sign can be a manager, but they're not a leader as a leader leads by example as so much. They're more like a delegator, okay, that can manage people that manage their roles. So a lot of them end up in HR. If they're a general manager, it's like they're managing people, but they're not managing the company. The people are managing the company. They're just managing the people, if that makes sense. So it's always indirect. Everything is indirect. And that's just how they are. If you ask a question, like I mentioned, they get off the hook very easily. That's just how they are. Okay, so I'm just thinking, there's a cautional energy to them. They're always skeptical and they're always a little bit scared. Now, being scared isn't necessarily a bad thing. When we understand human psychology, most things are either a cause to love or a cause of fear. So having fear to underperform means that they work harder to get the results. So this sign can go and sacrifice a lot to get a lot, because they understand to give a lot, you got to get a lot. So that's how they are. Very, very sensitive as well. Super sensitive. A lot of them are quite softly spoken. And lots of fluid problems I've noticed with them as well. Physically, a lot of female Cancers hold a lot of fluid in their feet and in their legs. They use comedy as a self-deflect, like as a mechanism or a defense mechanism. Like they've got a very dark sense of humor. Okay. And they know how to hunker down. They know when to go to ground. So if you don't hear from them, they disappear. That's how they are. Same with the Pisces. Now, I want to make something really bring this one up. Please get this one. If you meet a Cancer and they've done drugs or any level of antipsychotic medication, this can be a serious problem as well. It will be determined more how bad it is for them where their Virgo is placed, if they've got any placement around Virgo or Pisces. Same with the Pisces. Don't give them drugs are just not good for them. What happens when a Pisces takes a drug or take some level of narcotic, whether it's like ecstasy or MDMA or heroin or speed or cocaine, anything like on a high, it blows open their heart chakra. And what happens is they lose themselves to like the world. So in that being said, they will go around to people at a party if they've taken drugs and they'll be like, hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? And they'll be kind of so interested and invested and warm that they're just going to let their guards, their systems completely down, their defense systems down. And then it's a shit show. Or I've seen this before. And because it dysregulates their emotions, because they're not, when they're in that state, they'd love to be on drugs. Like who wouldn't these days? Not that I'm condoning drugs because it's, not good. But what I'm saying is, it takes away the fear that they live in. So it lifts off the fear of being rejected. It lifts off the fear of everything around them where folks don't agree with them. And then the drug just blows open their heart. So they're just so sensitive that the next day, the come down of this is horrendous. Like, it could take them like 10 days, 10 weeks to recover from that. Cancers should never be getting involved with anything that dysregulates the neurons in their brain, the firing sequences, or anything to do with the alchemy in their brain, like the levels of serotonin and things like that should never be touched. Super dangerous, right? Because this sign can be prone to violence very quickly, particularly around relationships. Yeah. A lot of serial killers, and I think Cancer was the most incarcerated sign in American prisons, followed by Geminis and Scorpios. All right. So I hope that, and Sagittarians up there too, but that's what it is. So just for the record, if you know a Cancer that's getting involved with anything, even pot smoking, it's just not good for them. Their mind and their heart is gentle. If you meet a Cancer that's really gentle and you've noticed their eyes very like emotional, it's like when you look into them, there's like the storm there that's coming. It's like the waves and the sea is stirring, and it's moody, and the clouds are rolling around. That's who they are inside. They may project to be calm and stable, but that's what's really going on inside in that world. This is an internal world that's teacher, nurturer, caretaker, and the smallest little trigger in their world can create a storm. All right, so you've got to, if you're dating one and you're in a relationship with one, you have to understand that about them, and give them all of their space and be very patient with them, because when a Cancer is truly in their love, it's like Pisces. They really love so deeply. They really take you in as a part of themselves. So when you betray them, it really, really fucking hurts. Okay? A lot of them have a fixation with horror films or things that kind of stir up emotion because it really appeals to their emotionality. You might see a lot of them are like spooky boys, or they're into like dress ups and cosplays and things like that, or playing characters. That type of thing is always partly how they are, because they're kind of getting off the hook of who they are in a way. I've noticed that's very big with the Cancers. They can also touch objects, like it could be like a grandmother's wedding ring, or it could be a piece of jewelry, like an heirloom, and they will understand the energy inside that thing. They'll touch that ring or that thing and they'll be like, oh, I pick up on this person's mannerisms, or I pick up on this person's name. It's all part of their intuitiveness. They're very empathic and compassionate in that regard. So they really see that. And being so sensitive as well, if they're not like psychopaths, and they're just genuinely sensitive people that really want to help, they usually end up working in roles like disability support, NDIS, trying to get people in homes, trying to help people that are less fortunate, people that have, real serious problems that need, that type of thing, non-for-profit, that type of thing is very much where they end up later in their life. They do have a tendency of being possessive and jealous. So say if you're posting pictures of your pool party, they get upset. They want to be at the pool party. They have a bit of that kind of fear of missing out. As if another common line you might get with a Cancer is, I have commitment phobia. But I want to remind you that there is no such thing as commitment phobia, only fear of loss of options. It just means they weren't ready for a real relationship. All right. Open relationships are not recommended for this sign at all. This is a one-man show. It's a one-woman show. Otherwise, it is going to be the kiss of death. And if the Cancer has initiated that they want an open relationship, your relationship is friend zone now. It's gone into that, back to the friend zone. All right. I think I've given you a hell of a lot. It's like I've really gone in pretty hard. This is the truth. They've got they can have like a sweet bubbly energy to them. Sometimes when they get home, they'll put on their clothes that are really comforting, like old clothes. I do this too. Like jumpers, baggy jumpers with holes in them that they've had for 100 years that they just feel comfortable wearing. They like that that unrestricted clothing, hanging on big woolen jumper, oversized clothing, things like that. They like all that. Just don't make them cry. If they cry a lot or they're easily offended, it's it's a Cancerian thing. But it takes a lot of discipline and integrity and a lot of courage to be incarnated as a Cancer, because you have to face the way people are mean and treat each other in this world. And that's the problem. Cancer can be the valiant one fighting against that in a court of law or in some level of like with the power of a pen and the computer. But they're not really like, they're not designed for like holding a sword like a Sagittarian or an Aries would to go after truth and corruption. They want to face it, but it's very hard because it's like they really feel the struggle and the pain of other people. Like they really feel everything. They're very inclined to feel everything. So this is the energetic signature of a Cancerian. That's the physicalities that you'll find with them. A lot of them have like, a lot of gay men that have kids were closeted in their marriage and then had kids and then later realized they just can't hide that they're gay anymore. This also is very common with a Cancerian. And when they come out, it causes a lot of problems because, people are like, well, why did you have me? Like, who are you? Like that type of thing. A lot of women get very confused with Cancerian men, particularly if they've done that, because it's quite selfish of them to have done that. And it really causes a lot of problems. But yeah, Cancers, they're very good at saving money. And like I said, they're very able to regain control from finance or regain control of power from providing something in exchange for you to overlook the slights of their sincerity. So I hope that all made sense. This is the energetic signature of this sign. If you're a Cancer woman, generally they have longer hair. Short hair doesn't tend to suit Cancerian women. A lot of high hair teased up to God, that type of thing, particularly if they're more on the Leo side. But yeah, nice clothing, nice hoop earrings, understated, sensible presentation is the way that they go. All right, so I will leave it here. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment below and let me know which sign you'd like me to do next, how to spot them, how to see them, how to identify them from observation. And I will do that one. And I will I'll end this video and then come back and then I'm going to redo the next one talking about something that I wanted to share with you. So I will see you in that podcast. Okay, bye for now. Please subscribe, by the way. Share and subscribe. Bye.